Hi, second grade. We've been wrapping up, or we are wrapping up, thinking about understanding 2 and 3 digit numbers. We have been looking at our place value to figure out how much each number is worth based on where it is in the number, whether it's in the tens digit or the hundreds or even the ones. Today, we are going to use what we know about those numbers and we are going to do some comparing. So we're going to get our targets ready and then we'll review what we already know and use that information to help us do something new. Let's get those targets ready. I can compare two two-digit numbers using place value and the symbols greater than, less than, and equal to. Now friends, when we say compare, what are we trying to do? Yes, we're trying to figure out which one is bigger, which one is smaller, or if they are the same. And we're using these symbols. And I've got them over here, and I want you to keep looking at those. Keep those in your mind, keep those fresh, and remind yourself what they mean. So we have our greater than, we have our less than, and we have our equal to. Now there's lots of different ways that we can try to remember what those symbols mean. And I can try to help you in a couple of different ways. Whatever way works best for you to remember them is the way that you want to stick with. So let me tell you a couple ways that I know. One, we know our equal to, right? That's an easy peasy camp an easy one. But when we think about greater than or less than, it's a little trickier. So a wise teacher once told me, when we are comparing numbers, we have a symbol that has two spots right here and one spot over here. So when we're comparing numbers, one thing we can do, if my number on this side is bigger, I can put my 2 dots on that side and my 1 dot on the other, and then I can connect them. And we know that 2 is more than 1, and so when we put 2 on this side, it means it's the bigger number, and 1 is the smaller number. That's one way we can remember it. Another way that sometimes makes sense to people and sometimes doesn't is when we think about the alligator, right? Raise your hand if you've heard about the alligator before. That doesn't mean we have to remember it that way, but this is another way to think about it. If you think about an alligator, is it gonna want a little tiny meal or is it gonna want something big? It's gonna want something big. It's probably going to want something like a big old seal before it would want this little tiny fish, okay? So when I think about that, I think, if my big old seal is here and my little old fish is right here, it's gonna wanna eat the bigger thing, right? So it's got that mouth open and it's gonna eat it. Now, second grade, I'm not gonna tell you that there's an easy way to remember it all the time. But those are 2 ways that we can help ourselves think about that symbol and help us understand it. I also think sometimes it's just pointing to the smaller number. Okay, so there's a couple different ways for you to think about it. If there's an easier way for you, use it. But those are a couple things that I've used before. As we think about those symbols, we're really trying to figure out which number is bigger and which one is smaller. And these make a number sentence, kind of like our plus or our minus. These make a number sentence too. This number sentence, though, is just comparing these numbers. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to jump right in and look at these 2 numbers right here. Now, in your seats, you have your tens and you have your ones. I want you to use them to build these 2 numbers and then think, what do I know about these numbers? Which one is bigger and which one is smaller? Go ahead and start showing your thinking now, and then I'm going to check in with you in just a second. Remember, if you're at home, you can pause me at any time and start me back up again whenever you're ready to go ahead and come together with our whole group. I want you to ask yourself, What place am I looking at? Am I looking at the tens place or the ones place? Which number is bigger or smaller? And how do I know? What do you say, friend? How did you show these two numbers? Okay, so you say that you think this number is bigger and this one is smaller. Wiggle waggle if you agree that 38 is smaller or is less than 49. How do you know? Okay, so when I'm counting and I'm saying 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and I keep going, I say 38 before I say 39. So one way to justify or prove that this number is smaller than this number is because when I'm counting, I say my smaller numbers first, and I say 38 before I say 49. When I count, I say 38 before 49. Okay? How else do we know? Oh, I just heard somebody else say on my number line, you can look up on our number line. Our number line, we see a 38 and 49 is way down here. And this is where the smaller numbers are. And we go to bigger numbers. Those are two great ways to prove which number is bigger and which one's smaller. Okay? Any other ways we can think of? Ooh. When you're drawing 38, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you do 49, 10, 20, 30, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What do you notice? 3 tens is less than 4 tens. Why did you look at that tens place first? Right, so when we're comparing these numbers, if our tens place, 30, is less than 40, that's what we're looking at to figure out if it's greater than or less than. That's the important part. We're looking at that first digit first, the tens, or the biggest digit first. This has the biggest value, okay? In this case, the 8 smaller than the 9 is 2, isn't it? So it's pretty easy. That might not always be true, so pay close attention to what place we're looking at as we solve other problems. Here's another one for you to think about. Ready? Okay. Our next one to think about, and we're going to do a couple of these today, is 54 and 57. Oh, wait, Miss Baker forgot to do something. Let's read this sentence out loud. What would it sound like? Remember, this symbol means what? Less than. So those are the words I'm going to use when I'm saying this number sentence. Ready? Let's go. 38, can I hear you? Is less than 49. So when we're putting a symbol, we're saying this symbol means is less than. That's how I would read that. So now we have 54 and 57. Let's take a peek. What do you think? All right. We think it's going to point this way. Agree? Disagree? I'm seeing a lot of wiggle waggle. Remember, this when I do this means me too. Okay, remember at home, stop, freeze me, and pause me if you need to, and then you can refresh me or start me up again as soon as you're ready. How do we know that this number is less than this number? Okay, so we're going back to our counting. When I'm counting, I say 54 before I say 57. 54, 55, 56, 57. All right, so I say that first, very similar to the first one. 4 is smaller than 7. Why am I not looking at my tens place like we were up here? Well, you're right. That tens place is the same, isn't it? And when it's the same, we have to look at that ones place. And we know that 4 is less than 7. So if we know 4 is less than 7, we know 54 is less than 57. We don't have to look at that tens place. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me make those a little bit bigger so you can see them easier. And 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And when we look at those dots, those are the same, but that's a smaller number than this one. So we know that what? Let's read this out loud. 54, can I hear you, friends, is less than 57. Ooh, you guys are getting good. What about this one? Ooh, I'm not going to read those numbers to you. I'm going to let you figure this out on your own. Let me know when you are ready. Oh, dear Gussie. What do you think it is? Okay, so I have a couple friends who are thinking something different. Ooh, all right, let me write down what our thoughts are. Somebody says this one is equal to this one. All right. Someone else says this one is greater than this one. If you think it's if you think it's A, raise your hand. Okay, if you think it's B, raise your hand. All right, talk me through this, friends. Talk me through this. We have about half of us think that this is true, and half of us think this one is true. Talk me through this one. Tell me what that looks like. They have the same digits, so they are the same. Let's read these numbers out loud. Ready? What is this one right here? What is in our tens place? Tens place. What's in our tens place here? Oh. Is that the same number? Ooh, what do you think? If this is in the tens place and this is in the ones place, what would that number look like? Build that quickly for me. And friends, if you're using an online tool, please feel free. I want you to build up those tens. We have 9 tens in this one, 1 10 in this one. What does that look like? 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. And then we have our 1. What about this one? 110. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, I just had somebody say, oh, I was wrong. Did anybody else go? Mistakes start new learning, don't they? What was our mistake? Yes, remember we're looking at using our place value when we are solving these and trying to figure out which one's greater or less than or equal to. And what does our place value tell us? The 9 in this place is worth 9 tens. What's the 9 in this place worth? It's worth 9 ones. Right? It's in a different position or a different place. It's a different digit. This 9 is worth 90. This 9 is worth 9. When we put them in a different order, we're changing the number. Yes, they look the same, don't they? But they're not because of the value of the place that they're in. So if this is not true, how do we know what is true? What do you notice about these two models? Look at all of these tens. Which number is bigger? Yes, our 91 is bigger than what's this number? 19. So how do we read this number sentence? 91 is greater than 19. And some of us remember that we're putting 2 dots here because it's bigger, 1 dot here, and then you can join those dots up. All right, I have another one for you to do at your seats, okay? and on your own. And I would love for this to be our exit ticket. And then you can do some work on your own. You have a practice sheet to work on. The one I want you to do on your own is this one. I'm gonna put a little star here. Exit ticket. Okay, remember, I want you to show this to your teacher. Send a picture of it. How would you use these symbols to compare these two numbers? So 70 is our first one. 49 is our second one. And don't forget, second grade, I need you to show me how you know. There's a couple ways we can do that. We can say when I'm counting. We can use that number line to prove it. Or we may draw a model to help us see that. When we have more tens, our number is going to be bigger. Sometimes our tens are the same, and so we have to look at our ones place. And sometimes they're the same numbers, but they're in a different order, and we have to look carefully at that as well. So, show me how you know. Draw one of these symbols to compare these two numbers, and then you've got an independent practice to work on. Can't wait to see you comparing these numbers. Tomorrow, we dive into 3-digit numbers. Happy comparing!